And we're live. You are watching Coaching Chats with Marina and Caroline.
I'm Marina Baranowski of the Coaching Marina.
And I am Caroline Day with Safe Day to Change. Hi, my friend. How are you
Hi.
today?
Well, my friend, how are you doing?
Uh, I was telling you earlier before we started, but I recently lost my bunny. So we adopted a bunny in 2021 for my daughter's birthday, and she recently passed. And it was really hard on the family, but we're recovering. For the pet moms that are listening in, I'm sorry for your loss. If you can relate, let us know because it's really, really hard. But I think it's good timing that we're talking about what we're going to talk about today because some of it can even be related to it. So let me explain why, right? But before that, how are you doing? I know you just had an anniversary.
I did, yes. We just had our anniversary last weekend. We had a phenomenal time, and I just I love spending time with my husband, so
Yeah.
anytime is a
Oh,
good time for
happy
me.
anniversary to the both of you.
Thank you so much.
So today we're going to talk about spring cleaning. And no, we're not talking about the house. You don't need to worry and start cleaning up over there. We're talking about cleaning our minds. We're talking about having spring cleaning in the mind. So, Marina, what do you think that that means?
In the same way that cleaning out clutter in your house is good. Cleaning out the clutter, the mental clutter in your head is just as good. So,
Absolutely.
and that could be old thought patterns.
Mm,
It could be negative self-talk. It could be, I mean, there's so many different things that you could do to clear this clutter, and we could talk about like what and how and such. You lead the way. You tell me what you want to talk
Yeah,
about.
no, let's talk about clutter in general, right?
Okay.
Because let's compare it, like you said, like to a drawer or to like a closet or to a garage.
Mm.
Just like we accumulate stuff inside of our house most times, right? Like everybody has like a messy drawer where you just throw in the keys and you throw in business cards and you throw in flashlights and batteries. I mean, I'm just from memory what I have on my messy drawer, right? And then you go to the garage and there's all of the storage, containers and bikes and, equipment and this and that. And so just like our physical spaces, we too tend to do the same thing with our minds.
Yeah.
We accumulate thoughts, we accumulate regrets, we accumulate memories, good and bad. We accumulate a lot of ideas, we accumulate scenarios, and just like everything else, or just like a computer with 25 tabs,
Tabs. Yep.
you have the same thing in your mind, right? Where you accumulate and it becomes clutter. And so today, because we're approaching spring, we would like to talk about how we declutter our minds and how we clear our minds. Because I think Marina was talking to me earlier about how that is compared to the physical environment. So I know you have at least some example there.
I
What can you think
do.
of?
Um, there's many things to discuss when it comes to the physical. I mean, let's talk about the garage for a moment, okay?
Yeah.
Um, we collect a lot of things throughout our life, and it stays in a space. In my case, it's the garage, where you put it in there, and it's almost like forgotten. You know it's there, and it takes up a lot of space. The next thing you know, you have this gigantic pile of who knows what. And you can't even walk out of your garage anymore because it is so filled with stuff. And I have a friend of mine who is battling this right now, that It is a task on his list of things to do is to clean out this garage. And every time that he attempts to go do this, every time he picks something up, something comes to him, whether it be a memory or something that made him angry or something that is frustrating, and he'll stop. And he still can't get out of his garage. So in that way, the physical stuff is affecting his mental.
Mm, talk to us about that. What does that mean?
So that means, for example, when he gets up in the morning and he knows that this is something that is on his list of things to do, I'm sure there's plenty of other things. The one thing that gives him anxiety, that gives him pause, that really sits on his heart. This is the thing, okay? The garage and the stuff that's in it is something that is bothering him. But every time he tries to go and fix it, clean it, move stuff around, make things more organized, that negative thought patterns will come up, whether it be, like I was saying, if he gets angry because, his wife was supposed to move that thing and put it in a different room and she didn't do it. Well, if she's not going to do it, then I'm not going to do it. And then he'll walk away. So he'll
Mm,
find excuses. And just like when you have it in your mind, it never goes away. It stays there. You haven't been able to clear out what needs to happen to be able to invite new things in. It's full.
I
Your
love
physical
these.
space is full. Your
Yeah.
mental space is full. You can't put anything else in there until that's cleared out.
Mm, yeah. I could totally see that how in the minds are just like that. And I love
Yes.
how you compare it to health. Like you did bring it back to how that's affecting the person in adding stressor, to their lives because if you can't declutter, then it becomes a problem, is what you're
Right.
saying, right? When you are not able to declutter, it becomes a problem. And the same thing to the mind, right? When you have so many things in the mind, it's just like a big filled garage. You can't seem to move or, focus on all the other things or
Right.
the other priorities because there's that big elephant in the room, excuse me, and it becomes so hard because, like you said, I love what you said about when he wants to go clean it, he finds something there that triggers an emotion.
Right.
And because it's so hard to deal with that first situation that happened, he can't even get past that. And so he digress, right? And that happens to us too. Sometimes we don't want to deal with certain things because as we start thinking about it, we think of the reason why we're not decluttering in the first place, and the reason's still there. And so now you're going to postpone it again until that is done. Because sometimes, and I love this analogy, sometimes you're actually putting on somebody else the responsibility to remove one part of it so that you can keep going and declutter. And so that's a great justification,
Right.
right, for you not to move forward and do something because you're waiting for something else to happen. In the mind, it could be, I'm waiting for somebody to say sorry to me. I'm waiting for this person to take accountability.
Mhm.
Until they do something, I'm not going to do anything about it. And so now they have this huge, justification, excuse, whatever you may want to call it, not to touch anything,
Right.
not to go there, not to fix what needs to be fixed, and not to declutter your mind. So, great example.
No, it's good. And here's the thing, it was a signal. So he picks something up and he gets angry because his wife wasn't supposed to do it. That is something that you go, how can I complete that thought? How can I fix that thought in my own mind? Is it something that can be repaired? Is
Mhm.
it something that can be discussed? These are things that you can address. It was a sign, it was a signal. And
Yeah.
instead of addressing the signal, he put it down and he walked away from it. Yet the larger problem, which is a filled garage, is not going to get fixed because you're not addressing the things, the small things, the triggers that are coming up.
Or not even that. Sometimes you're waiting for that trigger to be removed
Yeah,
to clean everything else, when in fact you could be cleaning everything else,
absolutely. Yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
decluttering
True.
is not about, and that's another thing too. There are a lot of people that are all or nothing.
Right,
I know people that are like, I'm waiting until the weekend because I want to clean all of it at once.
right,
I cannot fit in my mind to go and do a little bit of a time. I'm the all or nothing person. I need to go there and I need to clean everything. So I need to make time. And so now when there is no time, there is no decluttering,
right.
right? And so those are the things that, and I think that's why today I wanted to do an exercise with you, because I feel like not only you and I can learn in this coaching chat, but
Yeah,
I think other people can learn just ideas, a different way of actually doing a decluttering that is going to be healthy for them, that is going to be easy
love
for
it.
them. Because I think, it will give them some type of resource to kind of work on that, right? Because yes, it's true. In order for you to clean a physical space, you do need time, because you need to move things, you need to move material around through space, and that just takes time. The good thing about the mind, it would take a lot less time. It would still take time, right? Because you need to identify what they are, but it's a little bit easier, right? Because you're not moving things around. You're not going to need physical exercise, but it can be uncomfortable, just like starting to clean a cluttered space,
Right.
right? It's very, very hard. But today, we're going to kind of introduce some of the things that we can do in order to make it easier to declutter your mind. And you can use the same strategy to clean everything else,
Yeah,
right? You can start small, which we talk about a lot, and coaching is all about big goal, small tasks, right? Little incremental tasks. And so for us, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do an exercise. And if you guys want to do it along, just grab a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. And then you can do it along with us, with me and Marina. Marina, does that
let's
work?
do it.
Here's the first exercise. I love taking deep breaths before exercise. You know that. So maybe I'll invite you to take 3 deep breaths with me. And whoever's watching can do the same thing. I usually close my eyes. You don't have to, but I invite you to, just so that we can be 100% in the moment and we can play this out fully. Like we're going to leave everything else that we've talked about it so far behind and be completely present so that we can do this exercise. So let's take a deep breath in, hold an intention, and release. And take another deep breath in, hold it, and release. And just one more time, take a deep breath in, hold it, and release. Okay. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to empty the mental junk drawer. So we're going to get everything out of our head. So we give ourselves maybe like just a minute to write down every worry every task, every regret, every idea, and every stressor that we can think of. Okay. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay. Should we go to the next one?
Sure.
Okay. So don't organize it yet. Just dump it all in,
It's done.
right? Every memory, just tasks that you have to do, just dump it all, right?
Yeah.
So your brain stops holding everything when you put it down on a piece of paper. And that's why it's so good, right? Like it's
Yeah.
all in there, and then all of a sudden it's somewhere else, right? Now it's in a piece of paper. It's almost like you're already taking a burden and putting it's just relocating. It's
Right.
almost like if you're trying to clean a closet, you're just taking all of the clothes out of the closet and onto your bed because now you're going to
Okay.
like reorganize, right? So that's all you're going to do. You're going to dump everything out into a different location. So now it's no longer here, it's on your piece of paper.
That's why journaling is so good.
And now you're going to look at this list.
Uh-huh.
Let me turn off so that I can totally hear you because you are a little bit lower. Um, Now you're going to look at the list and you're going to ask yourself, what's stressing you the most right now? Look down the list and maybe you just want to circle or you want to take a look and what is stressing you the most right now. You can just look at that one. And then you're going to ask, what are you avoiding? And the reason why we ask that is because when we are stressing about something, it's kind of like your friend, right? You're avoiding something.
Right.
You're avoiding doing something. And so if he could come clean with himself and say, I'm avoiding cleaning, so I'm relying on someone else to do this part first. And that's what I'm avoiding. I'm avoiding maybe even handling it with this person before I
Right.
move on.
Confrontation or something is stopping. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And then what keeps replaying in your mind? So when you have a stressor, right? There's so many things that you can come from, right? I'll give you an example. For one of mine is taxes. And I don't know, I think this is going to come before or after taxes. I'm not sure. I think it's still in April, right? That this is going to come live. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a big stressor for some people, especially the ones that do pay taxes. Some receive money, some pay money. And so for those who receive, I mean, for those who pay, there's a stressor. I think for
Absolutely.
me, I became an entrepreneur last year, and so taxes will be different this year. And so that is on my mind, right? That's the biggest stressor is learning how to navigate that. And it's March.
It's
I do have some things, lined up already, obviously, so that I can file. But I think what I'm trying to avoid could be, you know, just looking at the list of things, like all of the spending. And for people, it could be different things, right? But this is just an example. And then what keeps replaying in your mind. What keeps replaying is, will I be able to pay taxes? Will they be more or less? There's always this fear. Would I be paying more or less? When I do pay, will I
yeah.
have the amount to pay? And so that's a stressor, right? And so what keeps replaying could be even that.
Right.
I'm holding on and waiting until the last minute because what it's replaying is, what if I can't? Or what if,
Yeah, avoiding the pain of it. Because,
oh,
to know that you owe and what you do, or might have to go on a payment plan, just to owe the IRS, that's a stress in itself. I mean, it is honestly just, it could be compounded. And one of my examples is also financial. So, and just not wanting to address those issues because of that uncomfortability that you get when you're even thinking about it. You don't even know what really the possibilities are. You just know that it can't be good, right? You cross your fingers and hope that you don't owe. But just being able to address it instead of pushing it off.
right.
We have until the April, but do you want to wait until that very last minute? That in itself may be a stressor because you haven't addressed it. So, yeah, I get it for sure.
Yeah. Do you have an example? It doesn't have to be the one that you circle, but maybe just an example that people can might be able to relate.
Yeah, I
Specific.
mean, one of the ones that I have is there's that to-do list that I have for around the house. And there's probably about like 5 things that have lived on this list
Hmm.
for months and months and months. And
Like
I
what?
will,
Give one example.
there is a bunch of stones that I have, markers like in the front of the house that we need to take up. And I would say it probably would take about an hour for us to do that. But we avoid it like the plague. We don't want to go out there. We don't want to go do it. And it's just something that is on our list of things to do. And what happens is because it's lived there so long, whenever we pull up into the driveway and we see it, we're like, oh my gosh, we have to do that. And so it becomes such part of that mental clutter. When you see things that you need to be taken care of and you find excuses throughout the day to not do those things, it may be a 5-minute thing, but it's just like, oh gosh, I don't want to do it. You like your whole body and mind refuses to do that thing. And it just compounds week after week. And those are the kind of things that live on my list and that live in my brain. And the weekend comes and we've worked hard all week and we're like, we have other funner things to do. And we're just going to avoid those things instead of taking care of it. And so it just festers and it stays.
Yeah. Well, minding you that Marina lives in Florida,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's either 100 degrees
Right.
outside
Correct.
or it's raining heavily.
Right.
So I could totally see that. But I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? If you have any yard, backyard, side yard, front yard, you know what she's talking about. You either upkeep with
Right.
gardeners or it becomes an infestation.
Right.
And, so I can totally see how that is part of, a thought or a task that stays there. You can't put it down, or you
Right.
can't feel like you can put it down. You can't seem to put it down because it needs to be done. And even if it might be such a short task to do, sometimes because of the energy that it takes or the energy that you anticipate it will take, that you put it off,
Right.
right?
And then it
And
just
then,
stays.
what's that?
It just stays on your brain. And
Yeah.
like it becomes Saturday night or even Sunday night, and you're like, another week. We're gonna have to wait until that's done for another week. And then it lives with you for another week. And like those are the things that bother me the most is that we sit there and we almost regret some of our decisions because we could have taken care of it and we just haven't. And we
Hmm.
will find excuses and then we get mad at ourselves for not doing the things that we say that we're going to do.
Yeah. So yeah, those three things are like the three questions that I asked, I think would be like at least a good thing for you
Yeah,
to look at, right? Like what's out of this entire list, what's the one that is stressing you the most?
right,
Out of that one, what is it that you're trying to avoid?
right.
And then what keeps replaying in your mind that is pushing it off. So maybe even like having awareness of why you have the stressor or why this is becoming the biggest one in your life. I think that's important. And then the second part is to go through the list and label the items, right? So you have keep, you have fix, and you have release. So you can look through the list and say, I have to keep this because it needs my attention. It's not something that I can just not consider. You know, my daughter is in fifth grade. She's almost over with elementary school, and we're trying to look for a good middle school for her. So I feel like I need to keep this, especially this year, right? A lot of people already know what they're going, and we're still kind of figuring it out. And so that could be a stressor that I want to keep there, right? A fix will be an actionable problem you can plan for. So maybe working on a side yard could be something that you can fix, right? If it's something short, something small, maybe if it's something that you can plan, then it could be something that is fixable. Is there anything on your list that you feel like could be a fix?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like in the example of just fixing the things, the small things around the house, filling in the holes that, my dog has damaged in the walls. We're talking about a few minutes that it would take to spackle it. Like these are some quick things that we can check off the list and it no longer holds a space anymore. And just in the act of writing it down, where it brings it back to light, which is such a good thing because we tend to push stuff off enough where it's not even in our thought process, and then we walk past it, or we're just trying to deal with something else, and the thought will pop into your head. Your brain is trying to categorize all the things that you are trying to do, and it just happens to, if you could fix it, then choose to, even if it is just that one thing to choose to do, move it, fix it, it's off your list. You don't even have to think about it anymore. And the more that you do that, the easier it becomes because now you're in action again. I love this topic because it goes so great with all our previous episodes over the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, it definitely is when we had stress, and this is one of those things. You're talking about a stressor.
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
for sure, right? So these become terrible stressors on you. And when, again, it becomes face to face with it, you either can put it away and not think about it until it comes up again, or you can fix it and
But
just,
not yet. You don't have to fix it yet. You're still on the
no, no,
list.
right. You're still
So if people
in,
are doing the list with
yeah,
us, you don't have to go and fix it right away, right?
but it goes in your fixed list.
Exactly. So
Right,
you can write it right in front of it. Even like maybe, for keep, you put a K in front of it.
right,
You go through the list and you're like, I want to keep this. That's not something that can go away. And then
right.
the keeps, for example, like I worry about my parents, I want to
Yeah,
see them again, like I have to plan for that. I want to see my nephew again. I want to plan for
right.
that, you know. And then I have fixes, right? Which is what you were saying.
Yeah,
I recently lost my bunny and I haven't removed her house and the fence. And so that's something that I can fix,
good.
because it's something that is small. It's in my mind, but it's something that is actionable problem that I can resolve.
Yeah,
And then there's the release. In this list, there are things that you can't control or that
mhm,
can no longer serve you, right? And so
right.
if you have anything on the list that you can release right now, then you can put an R on it, right? Which is the release. So you can write release on that list, right? Like if you're worried about someone, you know, um, that doesn't live around you, that's something that maybe you cannot control. I'm worried if my mom is eating well, you know. The fix might be to give her a call and check in, but it's not something that is in your control. And so you might want to release. So this is just for you to really navigate through, through the list that you have to
Yeah.
see which ones are worth keeping, which ones can be fixed right away, and which ones you can release.
Do a little organizational tool on your mental clutter. I like this. This is good.
Yeah. And then, like I have an example here. So for the fixes, you can have like a fix list. After this, you can just have a fix list because sometimes people work a lot better if they have a sort of list to do, a to-do list. And then the release is really thinking about, will people judge me?
Mm,
Because sometimes people have a hard time letting go because they feel like somebody's going to judge them if they do.
right.
What does that mean if I leave it up to my parents to take their medicine versus me? Like that's it can be a big burden on people, right? Um, but maybe even delegating to somebody, you know, doing something that you can then release,
Right.
right? And then the keep is really spending time, to kind of strategize, negotiate, see how you can do it. Things you can run from, like taxes. Then you got to keep it in there.
Right.
And so some of the, clutters that you can find is really like old grudges,
Mm,
perfectionism, comparison. Like, are you comparing yourself to others? And I wish I had read that before the exercise because I think it would have helped us, right? So sometimes, especially us as coaches, there's so many coaches, especially in social media now, and we're constantly comparing ourselves, with what they're doing, which
right.
stage they are in their lives. And so if even if you want to write that down now because you feel like that is a thought that I have, you can add that to it and then see if you want to keep it, if you want to release that, or if you want to fix.
Yes.
But one thing is for sure, the ones that you want to consider the most about releasing are old grudges, are this perfectionism, right? The what ifs are something that you kind of want to let go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is clutter requires a lot of input,
Mm,
obviously. It was even taking me time just to write it.
yeah.
I feel like depending on the time of the day, depending on what's on your mind at the time that you start this list, it might be a completely different list than if you start it right in the morning, maybe. And so feel free to redo this exercise so that you have a better list, so that you add things. But because it takes so much energy, it takes so much out of
Yeah.
us to do a list like that, just like it does, just like it takes so much to take all of your clothes out of the closet and put it in your bed. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, you ever do that and just be so exhausted that you don't even want to put the stuff back? Like that, it's the same thing, right? You just to the organization and trying to categorize what you're throwing out, what you're keeping, and what you're donating even, right? Is mentally taxing, because you have to make these decisions. And you get to a point where you might even get to decision fatigue. That in itself is a mental clutter problem. You make decisions all day, every day, and you just is so exhausting.
Yeah,
You don't want to even make another decision.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that may even stop you from categorizing.
yeah. And that's okay if that's the situation
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely.
You can put it away and just have a list done for yourself. But it is good to have it when you do have energy
Yeah.
because it will take a lot of energy. And when it
Yeah.
does, the list here is after you do the list, after you ask the questions, take a break.
Yes.
Take a break,
Rest. Yep.
get a little water, take a little rest, do a little walking outside,
Yes.
do a little journaling
Reground. Yep.
because it's going to take a lot of energy from you. right?
Yeah.
And so now, how do you reorganize your priorities? Let's say that you have a list. How do you know which one, right? So here are the questions that I wrote down. What actually matters this season of life? Sometimes that's all it takes for somebody to go, yeah, I think that's not as important. Or how can I reframe this so that I can really understand what matters right now?
Yeah. What is a good example of that?
Let's see here. For example, if you are identifying what season you are, right? Let's say that you ask yourself this question: what season am I in? Maybe this is the season of preparation. Maybe this is the season of trials, right? Maybe this is a winning season for you. Maybe you are closing partners, closing collaborations, having everything that you asked for, but now you're also worried about what's going on at home. You're worried about, are the kids fed? You're worried about what's happening in your relationship because you see less of your partner because there's so much going on for you, or the other way around, right? And so when you see what is the season you're in, just give yourself grace, or maybe even communicate with all the parties involved
Mm.
that this is your season right now. That maybe this is what is leading you to be prioritizing right now. And that's okay,
Yeah.
right? To have at least the communication to enable yourself to really lead with grace and not judge yourself for anything else, because we only have so much time in the day.
Oh,
We have
yeah.
so much energy that we use. And so for you to be able to understand what season you're in, because sometimes people are in the morning season, they just lost someone. And people are like, oh, but you have to go out there and you have to go do this. You have to get up and go and you have to see the bright side. But maybe that's not their season.
Right.
Their season right now is to be graceful, to understand the pain. Maybe it's, yes, you want to calibrate your emotion so that pain is not all you feel. And then you balance that off with something that is more calming so that you can regulate and get your body back to homeostasis. But maybe that's your season.
Right.
I remember in 2019 when I was learning about myself, and I was learning that the fact that I was quitting the jobs that I had nothing to do with the culture. It had to do with me.
Right.
I felt like I was misaligned with the work that I was getting. And I would just push. I would be like, no, I'll do good because I really know this. And then 6 months in, I hated it again. And I'm like, it's all these people. But it really wasn't. It was me. I was misaligned with the work that I was doing. And that was a discovery phase for me.
Beautiful.
It wasn't anything else. It was just a discovery. I was discovering that the patterns that I was following was no longer serving me.
Yeah. What beautiful examples there. You really, having that discovery phase and then honoring it. Because like we speak about it often, which is when you are having an awareness of something and then it goes into the action phase on how you're going to work through it. It's so nice to be able to have that communication next to the people around you so they know what's happening and what's going on and what you're trying to accomplish. So thank you for all of that. You said a lot there in a few minutes. So
I know, I think I gave three examples,
you
right? So
did.
one
Yeah.
example, if you're in a sorrow
Yep.
season, one if you're in a winning season, and
Yes.
one, like if you're in a discovery
Discovery.
season.
Yeah.
So those are completely different seasons, but identify where you are, and that will really help you through. Um, there's a question here, which is I really like, which is, what can I stop caring about?
Mm.
Does
Okay.
that question resonate at all to you?
Yes. Yes. So there's many things, especially in when you've lost some things. My children are moved out of the house. My parents obviously are getting older. There's many things changing within my landscape, my relational landscape. My grandmother is 95, so I know that there's going to be an unfortunate loss soon. In trying to get through the my own season of things, I just I felt like I needed to let go of a few things. One is when it comes to my children. Let's start there. When it comes to my children, because they're adults, I had to let go of me controlling their actions. I had to let go of and just say this is their path and the decisions that they make are theirs to make, and I am there, and I can offer assistance and help and love and adoration and compassion and empathy. I could give all of those things, but when it comes to them and their own lives and their own path, I had to take hands off for their sanity and my own. And albeit it took a little bit of time to do, when I finally did, there was this release of, okay, it's not on me anymore. It's on them. And I can be that support network, and I can be that friend, and I can be all the things that they need whenever they need it. So that was one example of me kind of taking my hands off of it and changing my own thought pattern, clearing my own mental clutter when it comes to my responsibility with my children.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's
that's definitely
beautiful.
one.
Thank you for sharing. I could totally see how people can relate to that,
Yeah.
especially parents that where they're, what is it, empty nesters is what they call, which I I don't love
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
But they take their wings and they fly, right? So that's beautiful. That's a beautiful example of what to stop caring about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other question is, what three things deserve my energy this month? I love this question, right? Because that also help you prioritize. If you look at the
Yeah.
list, say, what is it that I need to focus on in the next 3 months, which is a
Right.
quarter, right? That kind of helps you just align your values to what is it that you want to do? What do you want to focus on? What can I do with the rest so that I can focus on these?
Yeah.
Question. Any input there for the three
Yeah.
things?
I mean, each one of us has our own priorities. Um, for me, being present and being able to work on uh, my coaching for myself, in learning, in being of service. Those are things that I really put a lot of my energy into. I also put a lot of energy into my relationship. I put a lot of energy into my marital space, because it is super and the most important thing in my whole life is
Mm.
being able to be a wonderful partner to my husband. So these are some major, so anything else, when I have my categories and I review them, is it going to further my marriage? Is it going to further my relationship? Is it going to further um, my coaching ability? Is it going to my workspace? All of those things are super important. So when I'm making and clearing out my own mental clutter, is that one thought going to be bad for my priorities, or is it going to enhance or be better for my
Yeah,
priority?
hinder, not bad, but like
Hinder,
hinder.
yeah.
Is it going to
Hinder,
hinder or is it
correct,
going to
right,
improve? Is it going to work towards my priority or is it going
correct,
to prevent
exactly.
me or block me in any way from continue and prioritize? I love that example. Wow, that's beautiful. So it's great because what I heard was all of your values.
Yeah,
It's family, it's relationships,
Right,
it's career. And so that is a question that I don't have here, but Marina does, which is look at your list and ask your question. Does that stressor, that, that thought that keeps on coming back, is that helping me
right.
prioritize the things that I love to prioritize? If I want to prioritize my marriage, my career, my relationships, is this helping me? Is this going to push me forward, or is it going to hold me back?
Right.
I
So
love that.
that makes you choose whether you take care of it, whether you throw it away and it's no longer a thought that should be bothering you. Um, so you figure out how you can address it easier by asking that question.
I think it's harder though to throw away thoughts that come up. So one thing that I have learned is when we throw it away, it's almost like just the paper is gone, but the thought is still there. Like thoughts are very hard to throw away. They're not like a piece of paper, right? And so when people try to say, oh, like throw it away, they're really just shove it, if I were to compare it, they're just throwing it somewhere in the garage.
Yeah.
They think they're throwing it away, but it's kind of like a piece of paper that it's just like the wind picks up and it comes right back.
Yeah.
um, and so I think for thoughts that you really want to release, allow yourself to feel them entirely before you let them go. One thing that I learned, even with a long time ago, I learned that the best way to get rid of the clothes that you love, but that you don't use, because there's, some clothes that it's just every time you take, and you try to redo your closet, there's that one shirt from 1999 that you're not going to use again, but you just can't seem to get rid of, you know? And one phrase that I learned about like trying to get rid of them and release things that you are just keeping it just for the sake of it, just because
Yeah.
it feels so good, is thank you for your service.
Yeah.
It's
That's
almost
beautiful.
like
Yeah.
you're acknowledging that it's there. You are respecting the memory you had with it. And then you're telling yourself and your body that you're ready to release. And so gratitude really sometimes helps you.
Definitely.
If you have a thought that is really bugging you, allow that thought to come in, like, why am I having this thought? Why does he keep on coming up? Why does he keep on replaying on my mind? Is that something that is hindering me or something that is improving? Maybe it's something that I used before. Maybe it's a thought that I used before and it was actually helpful for me. 10 years ago, when I was working at this place, I was
Right.
saying that to myself to protect myself in that environment. But do I need this today? And if I don't need
Beautiful
it, I
thought
can
patterns.
actually
Yeah.
just say, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
This thought was so important 10 years, 20 years back, or even 5 years back. This thought really protected me, but now I don't need it anymore.
Right.
Thank you for your service. And
Oh,
then
I
you,
love that so much.
yeah,
Yeah. And whether it's something physical or like a mental thought. And I think you could do use that practice for either. So I think that is so nice to
yeah,
to frame it that way because yeah, there's like you said, you're talking about a piece of clothing. Like I have a pair of jeans that I wore, 30 years ago that I always held on to because I felt like, well, maybe one day this will be the inspiration that gets me, to lose weight. To be quite honest with you, when I finally was able to let go of it, I felt something physical, like, oh, okay, I was able to let that go. And the thought pattern may have helped me 30 years ago, but that's not going to help me today. It wasn't something that was going to motivate me anymore. It just became something almost negative thought, like, well, look at you. You spent 30 years and you couldn't get that. It's time to let go of all of those things that no longer serve you, whether it be mental, whether it be physical. And that this is a beautiful time to do it.
mm,
Spring. Spring is a new, this is where your energy shifts and changes, especially if you live in colder areas. The spring warmth is coming in, the flowers are coming up, the world is changing, and becoming full of life. And this is our time for that renewal. And so this is a beautiful time. I love March. March is my favorite month. I thought I'd just let you know that.
Yeah, it's also her birthday month
In my anniversary month.
and
And
anniversary month.
it's so good.
Oh, that's so
Go
beautiful.
Aries. So I feel like, this there's so many things, and I when we were talking about the physical thing that affects the mental thing, that goes for so many thoughts, whether it be grief, it could be pain, it could be uncomfortability, anxiety, all of those things that you're feeling may be tied to something that's physical. Um, in the example of myself, I lost my aunt many years ago. It's definitely over a decade now. And she had a lot of stuff in her home. And in order for me to stay connected to her, I took a lot of her furniture. And one thing was this chest, this hope chest. It was this box. And on the top of it has a heart. So I always loved this connection. And in my mind, I connected this box to the loss of my aunt. And so every time that we would move, that box had to come with us. And so this connections that we associate with physical to something that's happening mental. Mentally, I'm grieving. Mentally, I'm feeling the loss. Mentally, I'm sad.
Mm.
So when I started to many years ago started to think about all the things that are around me, I had to reassociate what I was feeling. I loved my aunt and I loved this piece of furniture. So instead of me saying, I am going to look at this piece of furniture and grieve, now I look at this beautiful box and it has a beautiful heart on it. And I go, look, this is this beautiful lovely piece that reminds me of my aunt who I loved so much. And I just associate it very differently now. And it's just a mindset shift.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Yeah, what I heard was almost that the box represented loss,
Yeah.
and then now the box represents life.
Yes. Yes.
Before it represented her loss, but now you think of her. You
Yeah.
don't think of her losing her, you think of her.
Of
And
her.
so it's
Right.
really, you think of her life
Yeah.
when she was with you, when she was alive.
Exactly.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Aw. So I hope everybody learned something
I
today.
hope so.
Yeah, hopefully they can take something, they can take a list, they can start organizing. And maybe if you don't, if you think you're not ready, you can start small.
Very. Yeah.
Maybe by just fixing one junk drawer, you know, this month
Or pick
before
up just
spring
one
starts,
thing.
you
Pick up
know.
one thing. Like, yeah, I have to walk in my garage anyway.
Yeah,
I will pick up one thing and either put it in my donate pile or I'll put it in the garbage. Like I'll just pick up one thing. That's it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that it starts that small step and that small action that gets you through the mountain that you have in front of you.
100%. Oh, I love your wisdom. Thank you for sharing
And
all
I
of the
love yours
examples
as
of
well.
today. This was amazing. I hope to see you guys next week.
Yes.
Have a wonderful, wonderful spring.
Yes.